And now it's time for our wrap-up session, which we are doing a amazing talk by Polly from Maybe. Polly is going to be talking about Gymshark, the rise of Gymshark. We're going to look at a timeline by Maybe, which is a tool. She's going to be talking about how in just 8 years Gymshark has gone from a 0 to 18 billion retail business, the first true social first business. So we're going to go over to Polly right now, and then straight after Polly's session, stay till the end, because after Polly's session we're going to run another Q&A on this live where you can win next year's tickets to Social Day worth £250. Welcome Polly Barnfield, Maybe CEO, to the Social Day virtual stage.
Good afternoon, everybody. Great to meet you all and be here for the end of Social Day. I've had a great time. I hope you all have had too. So I'm going to talk to you about Gymshark. Gymshark for me it's just extraordinary. You know, here's a brand that's gone from a business that was started in a garage 12 years ago to just actually last week having raised a lump of money to be able to go to the States that gives them £1 billion valuation. They, they 8 years ago they were an SME, and one thing that is really, really close to my heart is that the reason that Maybe exists as a platform is that we look at the data for about 2 million businesses across the UK. And the thing that worries me most right now is that only 40% of SMEs use social media. So let's look at Gymshark and look what they achieved by being a social first brand, because actually so many businesses can learn so much from it. I've loved all the things we've heard today, and I think there's some real synergies running through it, which is social first brands are doing extraordinary things. So Gymshark has grown at an incredible rate, just eye-watering. It launched in 2012, that was 8 years ago, and it's now £1 billion brand. Now that's incredible in its own right, but it's even more incredible when many retail brands are failing. They have created a market and carved themselves out of space alongside Nike and Adidas. You know, massive, major brands, and this business that's run by a teenager who's now one of the Forbes 30 under 30 businessmen, has grown through social media during that time. So well done, Ben. You have achieved an extraordinary thing, but he's done it by spotting a niche. He spotted a gap in the sportswear market, and he built a great product, but he used social media to leverage that product and to get it sold. Because at the end of the day, we're all in business to sell stuff. And he created a great product for the right market and found the right channel to sell it through. So the niche that he spotted was that there was a lack of affordable and desirable workout gear for young gym goers. At the time, brands were either selling baggy-bottomed tracksuit bottoms, which sort of targeted towards older consumers, or very high-end luxury fitness, beautiful gear. And the gear was either designed to be functional or fashionable, and it wasn't designed to be both. So he understood that the teenage market wanted to be fit in every sense of the word. They wanted to look great while they were being fit, and started making the gear. He made this on a sewing machine at home. But what he did that was really smart is that at the same time as he was building his fashion brand, his clothing brand, his sportswear brand, Instagram was also growing up. And the health and the fitness accounts were growing rapidly on social media. They were generating a massive following from young audiences who were also interested in the subject matter of Gymshark. So he started with the aim of creating fitness gear in this market, but he also tapped into that concern that the audience had for looking great while they were also at the gym. They wanted to look as good as they were in the gym as they were on the night out. So in targeting that niche audience, Gymshark has managed to disrupt a much wider industry. You know, when you stop and think about it, this business that started in the garage has taken on the likes of Nike, Adidas, and staggeringly has created a big space for itself without using the traditional sales channels and the obvious sales channels of JD or ASOS. So he's made, and in doing so, Ben has managed to create a cult-like status because he didn't use third-party resellers, which would have been the really easy, fast buck. He has built a brand, and he is the channel to market, and he's done it through his social. He's done it by starting with a small number of items for sale online, and they turned to social in order to raise awareness. And what they did is really simple when you stop and think about it. But you know, that the simplicity and the execution has created an SME to £1 billion business in 8 years. So what they did was, in order to achieve the growth, they identified early on a number of fitness influencers, including people like the high-profile bodybuilder Lex Griffin and Nikki Blackketter, and they sent them free Gymshark kit. Now, you know, everybody's trying to do this now, but back then it was new. Instagram was new. Instagram wasn't a big thing then. So somebody like Lex Griffin, who has an enormous following, he's a British bodybuilder, he's a personal trainer, and he's one of Gymshark's sponsored athletes. They have leveraged people's following of these influencers and just inserted their product into the conversation. The success of the early work they did with influencers led them now to sponsor 18 further influencers who between them have a combined following of 20 million people across markets in the UK and the US. The strategy has turned so many of their influence into brand ambassadors that they're now actually referred to as Gymshark athletes, and this creates a natural advocacy and genuine affinity for the clothing. You look at this lady here, she got over 1 million followers, 44,000 people like this post. That is extraordinary, and that is the way that Gymshark have sold their product. What's really smart about it is that they've involved their customers in the story. Their content is not just about buy my product. It's about how to use my product. It's how to enjoy my product. It's about things that we should all care about. It's about things that matter to all of us. You know, they embrace the Black Lives Matter campaign in a really sensitive and in a way that their audience warmed to, rather than in the way that some others have done, and it feels less, should we say, wholesome. They changed their brand. They changed their name during COVID to Home Shark, not Gymshark. They realised that their audience were possibly guilty of not really taking COVID seriously and going out too much. And so they've only just reverted back to Gymshark because they knew it was important for their audience to stay at home. So here's a brand that sells a product to an audience without almost selling it to them, because they just drive that advocacy piece so well. But they use their brand in a really powerful and thoughtful way that all the time pulls their audience even closer to them. And that is how they compete with the Goliaths out there of JD, Nike, and Adidas. But it's not just Instagram. They have a very different tone of voice on Twitter. On Twitter, they constantly ask for feedback in a really honest and open way. It's all about you're part of the Gymshark community. And they conduct polls, they ask about products, and they're really honest. They want to know what you think, and they have the conversation in the open. They don't hide it. You know, it's that about a continual cycle of advocacy. What do you think of our product? How do we improve it? So Gymshark is a shining example of how to pitch and market a brand to a specific audience. They've capitalised on a really clever social media community and really community focused campaigns. They know their audience. They've gone from 0 to a predicted eye-watering 500 billion of sales by 2024 from a standing start in 2012. That's just out of this world. But when you actually pull it apart and say, well, how do they do it? It's really interesting. Now, we'd like to give everybody that's at Social Day a little treat. And one of my colleagues is going to drop into the chat a link to a free sign up to Maybe. And we're going to give you the opportunity to sit and watch Gymshark data in real time. Now, if you're not obviously in the gym business, I'd challenge you and say, actually, just watch Gymshark for a bit, because it's really fascinating what they do. Because actually, they only generate 5 posts per day across Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. What matters is the way that they do it. These posts drive, on average, 16,000 engagements each. So if you want to watch a brand in action, please follow the link that's going to be dropped into chat, and you can watch them do this in the Maybe platform. Social listening data really reveals that Gymshark are so in tune with their customers that when what the customers say and what Gymshark says are virtually the same thing. We'll come on to this actually in a second. I'll show you. I think it's a screen where I've got it. Here we go. Yeah. So you'll be able to see the sentiment data for Gymshark. You'll be able to see how well they engage their audience, but you'll also be able to see how they are so in tune with their customers. You can see here that the word clouds for what Gymshark are saying versus what people are saying about them are identical. There aren't very many brands where you see that. Many brands push out what they want to say, and their customers are having a very different conversation. The only other brand I've seen recently that is like that is Primark. And Primark is the brand that I talk about a lot because we've looked at their data through lockdown, and they're completely the other opposite end of the spectrum from Gymshark in that they're not an online brand. They can't sell anything at all. But Primark are remarkable because during lockdown they had no way of selling anything, but they continued they stayed in contact with their customers. They didn't miss a beat. They responded to every comment, and they had the most amazing community around them. And I think it's not by chance that when Primark reopened for business, there was a queue outside their stores. But the analogy is that Gymshark and Primark are not that dissimilar in the way they treat their audience, and their data reveals that. They have this amazing constant engagement. Their customers are saying the same thing that Gymshark are saying. So the Gymshark are just part of their community. They're not talking to their audience. They're talking with their audience. So they have triumphed in building a business and a brand through social media and content by being part of a community of fitness fanatics. And a little bit like the Greg's presentation today, same thing. They became part of the vegan community. But in all cases, the businesses have done this by knowing its customer and ensuring they communicate with them in a really relevant way, so they can market through the appropriate channels. You see how Gymshark uses Instagram very differently from Twitter, but they leverage them tremendously. With Twitter, the amount of engagement they get on a post is just eye-watering. Same on their Instagram posts. So there's no doubt that Gymshark is a true, authentic brand, but it's so obvious that what it stands for and the purpose it delivers means that its strategy is so simple, and the focus is on getting results for you and your customer. It's about mutual benefit as opposed to buy my product, and that is what stands them apart as a brand and why they've grown as a retailer, because it's so different from the way that most other retailers approach the market. So please do look at their data, because the more you dig into it, the more interesting it is. The more you start to understand that it's not about what they post. It's about how they post it and how they engage with everybody else. They're very happy to reshare other people's content. They're very happy to repost other people's content. They are part of their customer's life, not something that their customers dip into when they want to buy a product. And that is what makes them stand alone and makes them stand out so much. And I believe it's a key part to how they've become a £1 billion business in such a short amount of time. So you'll be able to see, for example, the best posts that they deliver across Facebook and Instagram, and look at them, think about them, because they are remarkably simple. But what they do achieves tremendous engagement. You want to understand who their influencers are and look at them. Go and look at how the two audiences talk to one another. It's almost symbiotic. Nobody appears to be selling anything, but you're buying into the brand as a consumer, and you just want to be part of it, and that's what makes it work. They are amazing at engaging with their audience, and you can watch that through the Maybe platform. So please go and log in. I think my colleague Emerson will have dropped the link into your chat here, because remember, this brand 8 years ago was an SME. So whoever you work for, however big you are, if you want to be able to dive in and achieve the kind of growth that Gymshark is doing, you have to be able to be part of your audience. You have to be part of their community. You have to find their niche, and you have to understand what is motivating them. Now, in Gymshark's case, that means they need to understand that data every day, and they need to react accordingly. So my ask of you, no matter what size of business you are, is go be more Gymshark, because I promise you, the data we can see means that we know that businesses that are more social are performing financially significantly better. Consumers are now spending close to 3 hours a day on social media. Half the planet are on social media. But actually, brands, and particularly SMEs, are really struggling to keep. And frequently, the conversation that everybody focuses about is much more, what am I going to post? When actually, it should be, which conversation am I going to join? Because that is where the magic happens. It's like going into a pub. Do you remember those days? Well, we aren't allowed back in now, but who knows? It's not, if you don't go and shout at the bar and don't listen to people, people walk away. If you go to the bar and lean forward and have a nice chat, you make friends and you influence people, and people buy you pints. Social is the same. You've got to lean in, you've got to engage with people, and then they'll start buying your pints or your leggings or whatever it is. Now, I know that sounds incredibly simplistic, but I promise you, if you understand your audience, that is what Gymshark have done. That is what Greggs have done. Greggs and Gymshark have both built billion-pound businesses through really smart use of social media. It's that simple. It's not about what they've posted. It's about how they've engaged and the fact they've found the right audiences to engage with. And I think it's really easy to overcomplicate this, because remember, 3.6 billion people are having a conversation right now. Every day there's more conversation created. And if you go and find the conversation that matters for your business, for your charity, for your membership organisation, for your event, and you insert your content into it, or you join that conversation, you will do so much better. So, Social Day, thank you ever so much. I've had a fabulous time. I've loved it. I think you've done an amazing job, Lucy. And our message is, please be more Gymshark, because that's what social's about, right? So thank you very much. Hello.
Wow, what a fantastic story. Can we have Polly back? Can we get Polly back on the screen with me, please? Yeah, there she is. Thank you. So I don't know when you're Polly. But thank you so much. That was a fantastic wrap up of Social Day, and also just seeing that timeline of Gymshark was really interesting, wasn't it? How quickly they kind of went from nothing to this huge revenue generating company just in a few years, all through social media. Is amazing, isn't it?
Oh, Lucy, it's extraordinary when you stop and think about it. And look, he's had to create a product. He made it on his sewing machine. He worked so flipping hard, but they could have done so many obvious things, and they didn't. They understood where their audience was and went and talked to them and treated them like human beings. And I think that's what's so exciting. It just demonstrates the power. Look, he struck the timing dead right. It was when Instagram was young, when getting that kind of organic growth was possible. But it's still, look at the Greg story. It's not that dissimilar. And it's really easy to forget that you can achieve that.
So do you think that still would be achievable for a new brand starting now? They could do the same, they could have the same kind of traction that Gymshark did? Or do you think that kind of growth is on social media is long gone now.
Oh look, I'm one of life's eternal optimists. Anything's possible, and I think that if you chase your niche, if you find your people, and you have the right product, Ben Francis could not have achieved what he has with Gymshark had he not got a great product. You've got to have all elements of your business right, but social media is the only channel to me that you can achieve something extraordinary like that through. How else can you reach 20 million people?
Exactly, very interesting. And can you, Polly, can you tell me a bit more about the Maybe platform as well, and how you was able to get all of this data that you've pulled off to show, to show how what you just showed basically. Let us know how that works.
Of course I can. So Maybe is a social media engagement platform. We're not a scheduling platform.
No.
We're very different. We look at life from the fact that actually there's already so much content out there. Why don't you go and find out what people are saying and go and engage with it? So no matter who you are, you sign up to the platform and you can immediately see what your organisation is saying and what's being said about you. And then you say, well, actually, I'd like to see where else are my customers? So let me look at other people, other brands where my customers are spending time. Let me look at other hashtags where my customers are spending time, and let me go and engage with that content. Because actually, if you do that, you're making somebody else's phone go ping. You're reaching other audiences, and the impact you can have is so much greater. And we other do other great things like making sure your paid comments appear in your feed so you can engage back with them. Because actually, it's about how you treat people that matters on social, much less about just what you post.
Yeah, because we've had a lot of talk, haven't we, about this exciting content and that kind of thing. But actually, just caring about people and knowing your audience really well is core to everything, isn't it? And just understanding and be able to have conversations with them, understanding what they're interested in, is just everything, isn't it?
Absolutely, Lucy. I mean, we're so lucky. Social media is people. It gets a bad rap. But do you know what? Aren't we lucky that we've got it? Aren't we lucky that we can talk to anybody we like, whenever we like? And it's a privilege and it's an opportunity, and you've got to use it right. But I always come back to the analogy of if you go into a bar and stood up and shouted at everybody, they'd all go, you get thrown out. And there's a real risk on social media we all behave like that. It's much more about lean in, listen, and then join the right conversation. And amazing things happen. It's incredible. But so absolutely, you can do whatever you like, but you've got to behave. You've got to lean in and listen and get it right.
Absolutely. And this has been, I mean, it's such a hard one too, isn't it? The last slot of a 3-day conference. But actually, how uplifting, what an uplifting story, showing the story of Gymshark and what they've done over the past few years on social media and what the sentiment has been and that kind of thing is actually, I think, a great way to end the conference. And for those of you who don't know about Maybe, actually, this is just a fantastic tool and it's definitely worth having a look at it. And there's a free version that you can use. Can you tell us a bit about that, Polly?
Yeah, the free version is available forever for anybody. It's not a limited trial, so you can sign up and you can forever look at your own conversation and what people are saying about you. As long as you connect your social media accounts, all of your data from Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram goes through our AI, and you get some lovely, simple reports that show you what content's working, what people are saying about you, how they feel about them, and who's influencing your conversation. So, really tools that can make all the difference for you to start to understand how you're being perceived on social, because that really matters. Go and sign up. It's great fun.
There you go. So so you can get something for free right now. Dive into that, see how it works, and then learn more about the Maybe platform and learn more about Polly as well, because Polly is absolutely amazing. She also you do loads of stuff, don't you? You're all over the place. So how can people find you and connect with you? Tell us a bit about what you do with the high street as well, because that's super interesting.
Oh, that's a great project. So we are part of the High Street Task Force, which was started actually pre-COVID. So there was a plan to help the high streets, and then COVID came along. So it's got pretty exciting, shall we say. And we've worked with Google through lockdown so that we now crawl Google Maps, and we've identified over 2 million businesses in the UK that we go back every night and collect their Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram data. So, and we group it by place so that we can show the best post in every place across the UK. And that means that we're Maybe team, who are amazing, are doing a roadshow around the UK at the moment. And every week we go and look at the best posts in 2 different towns to really help SMEs and understand what it takes to be a good post. And we're finding some amazing businesses doing incredible things on social. So please go to the maybetech.com, sign up, and also look at our websites and join us. We have a webinar Wednesday, 10 o'clock every Wednesday. We go on tour around the UK. We do a session for shopping centres. We're beginning to do sessions for other sorts of businesses, because one of the key things the platform does is shows you the best posts in a sector. And again, same thing, if you look at what good looks like, because it changes, and that's what's so irritating, but equally exciting about social. It's never the same, right? So go and look at what the best post is, because then it's easy to get better.
Yeah.
You can find me on Hello Polly Barnfield on Instagram, and I'm Polly Barnfield on Twitter. I'm Polly Barnfield on LinkedIn. But maybetech.com is where you want to go.
There you go. Thank you, Polly. And I just want to read out some of the comments that people are saying against your talk at the moment. And there's still people here at nearly 6 p.m. on a Thursday evening after 3 days of amazing content from so many amazing people. Flo says, Polly, that was so good. Thank you. So interesting. It's all about people and conversation rather than just posting. Charlotte says, it sounds great. I'm definitely going to be having a look tomorrow. Barbara says, absolutely, it's how you treat people that's so important. I think Sarah must be in your team, because Sarah's saying head over to Maybe, it's amazing. And Charlotte says really you've got your team here with you. Charlotte's saying really simple but important takeaway from the event is understand your audience.
Really kind of
and Sarah Bassett is saying, Barbara, log into the platform. That's your person telling Barbara what to do to have a look. So that's awesome. And don't forget, guys, this may be the end of Social Day 2020, but it's not the end of Social Day. So now that we're all in this app together, all of the content will be up next week, so we'll be able to re-watch everything. The booths are still open. People are able to still come and talk to you. Can all talk to each other. This is still like a social network in an app, so we can all talk to each other. We can all keep learning and keep sharing what we've learned with each other. A huge thank you to Polly, who's joined us for the last and now we're going to do a wrap up, the final wrap up, that quiz to see who's going to win a ticket to next year's in-person event. Can you put me back to Polly so I can say bye to her, please? I just want to thank you. I just wanted to say thank you very much to Polly. Please go and find her. Please go and have a look at Maybe. Let's give her a huge round of applause and a huge thank you for being our final talk and the final speaker of Social Day 2020. Thank you so much, Polly. Thank you. We will catch up with you soon. Now it's time for our quiz. Thank you, Polly.
Thank you. Bye-bye.